Hey everyone, this is Nick from NXT Plants. Today I'm going to be going over some of my fastest and slowest growing Anthurium. First up, I think I'm going to go with this Clydemioides so I can get it back in a bin. It's got these lovely aerial roots and I really don't want them to desiccate. I'm going to hope this is in focus. I really hope. Beautiful fuzzy aerial roots. So as I was saying, this is probably like the fastest Anthurium I'm growing. It doesn't really look like your classic Anthurium. This is what it looks like full grown. The leaves might get a little bit bigger, but this is pretty much what you get. Like, this is the mature growth. It doesn't get squat or have like tight inner nodes like the other Anthurium. It's, as I was saying, this is one of the fastest. I'd say, like right now is a good example. I think it's working on 3 leaves simultaneously that it's expanding. And it's a pretty common theme for this thing. I think I've seen one doing like 5 leaves once it really gets going. And yeah, it'll just be doing them all at the same time. It's truly an incredibly fast grower. Oh, it's even got some moss growing in the pot. That's kind of fun. Unlike any of the sort of common Anthurium you see around. Definitely one of my personal favorites. Oh, and its flowers do look like normal Anthurium flowers, so if you want to see something pretty funny, look up an Anthurium Clydemioides flowering. Next up, I think probably the second fastest Anthurium Papillilaminum. I brought out 3 of the bigger examples I have. The fastest out of them is definitely the Voldemort itself, from Woohoo Tropicals. Way faster. I think its record between leaves is like 2 weeks. I'd say now that it's flowering and stuff, it's more like 3 or 4 weeks for this guy. And then, let's say this Fort Sherman here and this RA5 are about the same at 4 to 5 weeks between leaves. If they're being a little slow, it's sometimes 6 weeks, but generally it's like about a month between leaves. You need to pull these guys one up. Here is an RA5 X self. What's interesting right now about this guy is the back of the sleeve. I have no idea if this is going to show up on camera. But it's pretty red. Oh, it's actually coming through not too badly. Pretty gorgeous. Thought I'd show it as an update, but yeah, I'd say this guy does about a leaf a month. It is now actually flowering. I ripped off its last flower because I was repotting it and I cut it, but it hasn't missed a beat at all, even with the prop, and I find that's pretty common with paps. Not all of them. I find most are pretty resilient even to cuts. Doesn't really phase them. I'm gonna stand for this next guy here. I'm actually it's too tall. Here is the Fort Sherman, as I was showing you guys. You're gonna bring it up close to the camera. You can see even under the pretty high light, it's looking nice and black. I'll try and hold it up for an angle, see if we can't catch the green. It's a really nice dark green color. But right now it's looking pretty black. And it is super dark, don't get me wrong. It definitely looks black under most lighting. Yeah, this guy, I recently propped it, and as you can see, totally unfazed. It's holding an inflow that I've been harvesting. Just finished harvesting another inflow, or infrutescence I should say, and it's in another inflow and another leaf, and again it's only been like 4 or 5 weeks. It was super easy because I had the dates of the 2 pollinations, so it was receptive exactly 5 weeks apart. I think it was off by a day on the last set of inflows that I had, both dated. And that was well burying. It was still doing a leaf and an inflow every 5 weeks. Oh, sorry, I don't know if I said this. The Fort Sherman, Papillilaminum Fort Sherman XL from J. Vanini. It's a big one. Definitely gotta credit this plant with being the one that got both Corbin and I into the sort of fancier dark foliage. One of our favorites to this day. Like I was saying, this guy, which is the Papillilaminum Voldemort itself, from Woohoo Tropicals. Got it as a seedling, and from even a tiny little guy, it was an absolute weed. It is one that likes to, before it even finishes hardening a leaf, already have the next one going. This is not this leaf is no different. It's already doing its next leaf. This one is just finishing hardening. It's got another inflow hiding in here. I don't know if that's very visible. Twiddling it here with my thumb. And this inflow is just at the pollen production phase, so that'll be really exciting because I get to start doing hybrids with this guy because this was the first inflow. Another beautiful pap leaf, extra dark. Absolutely love the shape on this one. You can see pretty nice pap. Definitely one of the favorites. I love the paps. I've got quite a few at this point. I'd say it's probably the species we have the most of. And it's just so easy because they all look different and they're gorgeous. This one, it does have the nice red backs, but it doesn't have it really right now. You can see it's just a little bit pinky. When it's fresh, it's nice and red like the RA5. Oh, and the Voldemort is just like Woohoo calls one of their pap clones. The next fastest, and a plant I feel like I've been having in every single video recently, is the Carla Blackie. I know some people find this to be a slower species, but in my experience, it does a leaf about every 6 weeks. Oh, right, I can actually tell you, it does it 7 weeks. Between, well, spoiler, we pollinated a second inflow on it, and there's 7 weeks between the dates. So it was receptive 7 weeks apart. So working on berries, doing a leaf and another inflow every 7 weeks or so. Turn it for the camera. A little spin, hold it up nice and close. And you can see a pretty white, hide my face. Pretty white spathe. Cute flower. You can see this knobby green one it's been working on for a while now. Yeah, I'd say, in my experience, the color tends to be one of the faster ones. And I find it is always working on something. Like, this leaf just finished, and the next one is starting. Another one of the favorites and a really good grower. Next up, and I think the last fastest I'm going to share, is Wend lingeri. And this is an NSE Wend lingeri. I know this is another one that might be a little bit controversial, but you have to understand, I got this plant as a little seedling back in November. And show you the little teeny tiny leaves up top. And I grew most of those teeny tiny leaves up top, so it was smaller than that in November when I got it. You can see this huge flower on it. Let's go forward for that. Nice and curly. But yeah, like I said, my experience, got this guy in November, so I can't really say it's a slow grower when it's like it's already too big to show entirely on frame. Oh, I guess I should bring up a nice pretty hardened leaf. Like, this is horrible. I'm just bending this thing all around. But yeah, probably gonna put the final entry on the fastest. I keep saying one of our favorites, but like I think all of the plants are. Got a beautiful flower. This is the first, so I'm loving the shape of the flower. And a new leaf, and these beautiful big bumpy leaves. I mean, it's just first up for the slow boys. I think I'm gonna do this NSE Dressler. It's not like crazy slow. Just say it's definitely more of a leaf every 2 or 3 months kind of thing. And like if you disturb it, it's a little bit longer than that. I don't want to hate on this plant because it's so pretty, and this leaf is just, I'm sure, staring the lens down. So I can't really shit talk it. But definitely not fast by any stretch of the imagination. You can see it's like only holding 3 leaves, so I really want to repot this thing. I think I'm probably going to as soon as I can figure out a smaller than one of these big black pots. If you can make them happy, the plants grow great. I'm very careful with this one in particular. Like, not hard when it's happy. Like, this thing grows no problem. It didn't even seem to mind the colder temperatures this winter. Pretty hardy, and I've grown Dressler seedlings even in the tent, no problem. This isn't actually slow. I'm gonna just show you quickly. I have it as a stand-in for the Wonder Boy. I'm gonna insert some pictures of it, of course, but I don't want to pull it out. It's got a fresh emergent and it's kind of at the back of the tent, and I haven't gotten a leaf from it in probably 4 months, so I'm absolutely determined to get at least some good photos of this leaf and not have it have any blemishes. So that means it's not going to come out of the tent. I repotted it into one of these, black net pot in the 3-gallon bucket setups a few months ago. I'm going to say probably like 4 months. Oh no, right after I started the channel. So what's that, like 2.5, 3 months? I guess I can't complain too much. But before that, it also hadn't been doing a leaf. So it's been at least 4, maybe even 6 months. The Wonder Boy, I'd say, is a pretty slow plant. And if it's disturbed, it slows down even more. So like I was saying, I repotted it shortly after starting this channel, and the reason I repotted it is I hadn't been doing anything, so I was worried it had rotted its roots, because it was starting to yellow the edges. And no, it had a great root system. It, for whatever reason, wasn't growing very fast. So gave it a repot, and when I repotted, I did cut it. And yeah, it's now been so long that the cut I took has a leaf, and it's only now just started doing its leaf. So like I'm protecting that leaf as much as I can, and that's why it's gonna be represented by a plant that doesn't actually grow fast. It grows doesn't grow slow, sorry. It grows pretty fast, but we're gonna just hold it up so I can show you a pretty plant. Well, I should talk a plant that I didn't want to take out of the tent. Okay, I'm gonna save my most hated plant for last. Next up, we have Anthurium King of Spades, and this guy is slow. Oh my god, I took cuts of this plant one time. I will probably never take another cut of this plant simply because of how long it took to recover. This is one of my first Anthurium, and it has not flowered because I cut it when it got to caterpillar, assuming like my other Anthurium that it wouldn't really be bothered, and it just like did not grow. It did not grow for ages. So I repotted this recent time. I took great pains to not touch the root system in any sort of way, and still months later, no signs of new growth. It's got roots, so like don't get me wrong, it's not like dying or anything. The plant is healthy. It just grows painfully slow. Like it can be easily 4 to 6 months between leaves, and it doesn't seem unhealthy. Don't really know if I'm doing anything wrong. The damage you're seeing on the leaves, these leaves all predate the repot and a bunch of other stuff. They're all quite old, so I can't even really say it's like experiencing damage beyond like normal wear and tear, so there's not really any hints. And like I said, the roots are healthy, the growth is all healthy. I did find before I supplemented with silica that it was one that liked to have sort of undercurled leaves, and I don't want to break that leaf. I'll fold one of these ugly ones. I mean like the base of the leaf was turned under, and but yeah, with silica solved that issue, no problem. A little bit of a slow poke. Gorgeous though, don't get me wrong. It's an absolutely beautiful plant. It's on the slower side. I've grown other King of Spades, and again, none of them have been particularly fast. I'll just hide behind it, because I love this plant. Next up, we've got this Anthurium Dark Phoenix. A little bit mangy. The plant does not like me. I was going to say, and I don't like it, but I do like it, and I want to make a hybrid with it. It's really annoying me because it's not growing. This is another one I repotted a few months ago, and again, no growth. There's signs of healthy root growth, but no growth up here. And it's another one that like got pretty early on in the collection, still hasn't flowered, just is super duper slow. And no flower, not really even growing that much. I think this leaf came out at some point during the winter. It's got a little bit beat up. Since it doesn't grow, I kind of just shoved it in a corner of the tent, and I'm like, under pretty good light. It's like, my inclination whenever a plant isn't growing very fast is always to crank the light. King of Spades here and the DP, they're getting, like, both getting bright light on a shelf together. And yeah, hasn't really shown any change, so that's the extent of my troubleshooting. Hopefully I can do something with it shortly. And I think like any leaf now, I'm sure I'm gonna get a flower, because I think we're on at least the 3rd caterpillar leaf. I removed the other leaves because they're all getting super ugly. almost killed my most hated Anthurium. I think when you see it, you won't care either. Okay, the last plant on this list is going to be my Clarinervium. This is actually the first Anthurium I ever got, and the reason it looks so hideous is it will not stop flowering. It has flowered itself to death. I've cut it a million times to try to stunt it, to hopefully stop it. Didn't work, so now I just sort of leave it up on the top shelf. I let it be its mangy self, and whenever it flowers, I snap the flowers off. I don't know why I've never wanted to even try hybrids with this. Just for whatever reason, it doesn't strike my fancy. I think a big thing is how long it takes to berry. It's a really slow one, like over a year. This plant itself doesn't have particularly, don't really feel any desire to do anything with it. Also, the Anthurium Clarinervium, you can see it's got great roots. It's been in this pot for a while, and I have it actually, it's like mini leca, probably about that much, and then I capped it with pon, and I let this thing go dry. I will let it go dusty dry, and the plant doesn't seem to mind. And if anything, it prefers that. I used to have it in a reservoir pot, so it never dried out, and the thing would not hold on to its roots. So yeah, mini leca with a cap of pon. So I guess this really shouldn't fall into the slow, but I feel wrong to not have a queen under a list of slower Anthurium. This one also grows way better than most of the other queens I've experienced. My other queen, I'd say, probably for sure falls in the slow category. I just didn't bring it out because it doesn't fit as nicely on this shelf here. This one really fills the space. I think that's going to wrap it up there. Thank you everyone for watching. I really had a good time going through some of the fastest and slowest Anthurium. Feel free to like, comment, and check if you're subscribed. I don't know if this won't be relevant, and we're doing a giveaway over on Instagram, and if we hit 2K here or 5K on Instagram, and you're in Canada, and you enter, like I said, on the Instagram, it's the pinned post. The date is, I'm saying this on June 20th, so if, June 20th, 2024, so if you're watching this in the distant future, ignore, cut out, leave, but there's a giveaway going on Instagram, and it'd be great if you guys from YouTube were managed to make it and enter into the giveaway, and it wasn't just for the Instagram people. Have a good one.